Welcome back, enthusiasts. With Season 10 quickly looming, with what looks to be the most exciting and biggest power creep any season has provided us until now, I'm super excited to be able to tell you that the Gorilla Spiritborn is still going to be amazing for leveling as a league starter. With this build already being one of the stronger leveling builds for the Spiritborn, and Chaos powers added into the mix, it should blast from level 1 to 60 in no time at all. In this video we'll cover an overview of the build, the core mechanics, the equipment and aspects, and further information on the build. Let's get into it. Alright guys, I've got the Thorns Rock Splitter leveling guide here. This is designed to be a full leveling guide to take you from level 1 to 60 as a true league starter. You can see here that it's got variants from level 1 to 14, level 15 to 29, and level 30 to 60, with the requirements down below in the variant summary. So it's like a journey to take you from the start all the way through to your point where you get to your paragons. You've got your skills, your spirit halls, your items and the aspects. Your skill tree will be laid out as you would expect, which we'll go through shortly. Paragon board doesn't matter in leveling because we don't get that before level 60. Your mercenaries are in here. And then if you keep going down, you can see your runes. You've got the chaos perks, most of which don't benefit us here, but I'll explain why when we get there. Your socketables, strengths and weaknesses of the build. There aren't many weaknesses. And then below that is the information for the build. So the gameplay loop, how it works and what's changed and why it's going to be great this season. And some real in-depth explanations down below if you're interested in this. Be sure to favourite the guide above, guys, if you're interested in following it. I will be updating these as we go into Season 10 start, and I do have a changelog at the bottom, as you can see here. This will be updated if anything does change. This is the build I will be playing to start with, so you can see me doing this live, and any of those changes will be fed into the guide as we go. And also, guys, there is an endgame guide for this build. If you do want to play it beyond level 60, quick tip, this is going to be a really fun build. It's using some very interesting chaos armors in the end game, and I think it's going to be very, very strong. I don't know exactly how high because the PTR, it was bugged. I wasn't able to test it to the absolute heights, but I managed to get it to pit 105 even with the bugs preventing me testing beyond this. So I'm pretty certain this is going to go a lot higher with the recent buffs. So with that, if you're interested in this, guys, be sure to check out the endgame guide link, which is here in the build summary. So with all of that out of the way, guys, we can just get straight into the build and we'll crack on. So as you can see here, we have changed this build, so we're no longer using the Hunter ultimate, we're now using the Protector. This has been giga buffed this season. I'm super happy that finally the Gorilla ultimate is good. I've been championing and pushing for this for about 3 seasons now. I've even tried this build with the Protector in the past and it just didn't hit the mark compared to Hunter. But with the recent nerfs to Hunter and the mega juiced buffs to Gorilla on top of the unique you can get later on, this really is a strong option. So this is why we've taken this now. Rock Splitter is our core skill here. I mean, it's a basic skill, but it's the core of the build. It is going to be very, very strong for leveling now, particularly with the one new magic chaos power we get access to. Armored Hide just gives you a bit of tankiness and resolve, so that's really nice. Ravager allows us to just zoom around even more, and this gives us access to some minimum ferocity as well as access to early on into the Jaguar tree, such as Potent and stuff. Counter-attack is very useful here. It just makes you very tanky, where you can have 100% dodge chance, and later on we'll use this to scale our Thorns damage. And Toxic Skin also scales our Thorns damage and allows us to apply some poisoning around us to enemies to play into all of those mechanics. I choose to play double Gorilla during the leveling process here because unless you drop a Harmony of Ibawaka going along, you actually really do benefit from going into Gorilla in both trees here to start with. I mean, it just gives you barrier generation, it gives you an insane amount of Thorns gen, and it also just grants you unstoppable pretty much permanently on this build, which while leveling just makes it really smooth. You don't have to worry. Later on, we'll go into the triple spirit tech, but that's much further on beyond level 60. The simpler you can keep it during leveling, the better. So this is a full Gorilla leveling build, and it is going to slap. It has done for the last 3 seasons, and that's without the current buffs we're just getting. The items and aspects, like most of my builds, I generally go for full defensive aspects and then the key offensive aspects that allows us to absolutely blast on this build. So generally speaking, we go offensively. If you're lucky enough to drop a Moonrise, that gives you attack speed and a massive amount of basic skill damage. This is very strong for this build. It's worth noting that the big damage from this build comes on the third attack of Rock Splitter, which can be made to happen on your second with the Chaos perks, which we'll go into in a moment. But because it's part of the basic skill itself, any basic skill damage multiplier does scale that Thorns damage. Some things do not, such as unyielding hits, that does not. But anything that says basic skill damage multiplier or generic damage multipliers, they do scale it. So aspects of Moonrise is very strong here. Same with aspects of adaptability. This is very powerful here because we do not spend our primary resource particularly often here. So the more of that we scale, the more damage we get from adaptability. So if you get those plus the Tormentors, because we're poisoning them with toxic skin, and it just pretty much makes enemies just hit you and kill themselves running away from you or running towards you. Those three alone will pretty much just solve damage for you. We're taking Fell Soothsayer's aspect here because it gives you access to Invulnerable early on to be able to apply it really easily. These are all drops, so you're not going to be able to just get these by default. You're going to have to hope you drop them. And then the one you can go farm, which I probably will get very early on, is the rapid aspect. The reason this is so strong for the build is because the quicker you can attack, the quicker you can get to your third attack, or second once you've got the Alacrity Chaos power. And so attack speed really is the name of the game on this build, at least to start with. So even a basic version of this will give you 30% attack speed. In combo with the new Chaos perk will give you 60. That's going to make you Giga Blast early on. Highly recommend sticking this on a two-handed quarterstaff with block chance. It'll give you defense and a load of offense. Beyond that, we take aspects of haste. If you drop this, this will give you loads of movement speed. We take Juggernaut's aspects and disobedience because that gives us just armor. It's just going to solve armor for us. And then I put Bruiser's aspects in here because honestly, it just makes you gain some armor and extra thorns if you're missing life. So if you're taking damage, it will just scale your damage so you can kill things faster. It's one of those aspects I kind of wish they make stronger, to be honest, or change how it works. But during leveling, it's pretty good. You could replace this with might, the aspects of might if you want, if you wanted the damage reduction. But honestly, once you've unlocked adaptive stances, you get 30% damage reduction by default anyway, and this just gives you more damage if you take damage yourself. So I find that to be a nice little bumper there. In terms of the skill tree, obviously we just coming to the Thorns node here, Accelerated Rock Splitter. It is worth noting that we do not max out Rock Splitter here because the ranks in Rock Splitter do scale the damage of the skill itself, but it does not scale the Thorns damage that happens on the third attack, and that is where the main damage comes from on this build. You'd be surprised how much more damage that gives you, even if it only says it gives you 80 Thorns, because with the Gorilla Primary and all the other sources of Thorns damage, you end up just doing a really quite phenomenal amount of damage on this attack, especially later on when we can make it link up with all of the uniques and stuff that gigabuff this. So we put those points elsewhere. We max out follow through. We pretty much max out all the damage passives here. Follow through, Apex, Unrestrained, Power, Bastion for the base thorns, and to give us extra multiplicative thorns when we've got a barrier, which we'll have all the time with the primary gorilla. Spirit Hall going on. Dominant was changed, so it's now giving you damage on attempting to knock down an enemy. This becomes better later on. If it's pretty hard to find a way to do this early on unless you're using Vortex, but when we get to the Paragon, we'll be able to do this all the time. Resilient gives us a bunch of damage, a bunch of max life and knockdown duration and barrier gen, so that's really nice. Potent here for the extra damage with Ravager on, so we'll be able to scale that super quick. And then when we cast our ultimate, we get all the damage here as well. So we've got Supremacy and Resolution every time we cast a Protector. And we take these other nodes just to allow us to spam like counter attack and our Armored Hide and such. We max out the Protector here, and we come and get all the nodes. This will give us Unstoppable, Barrier Gen, damage, and all the good stuff. And they really giga buff the Thorns damage that comes off the Protector. So at least during leveling, the Thorns damage here will absolutely slap now. I'm not convinced the Thorns damage will scale into the end game, but it will make leveling absolutely crazy. In terms of the rest of the skills, we come into Ravager and we take Enhanced Ravager because that allows us to get the increase dash there. We come into Toxic Skin and we come down to get Replenishing Toxic Skin. That gives us the 100% multiplicative Thorns damage here. Armored Hide, max that out because it gives us more resolve passively, and it reduces its increases its duration of lasting. And then if we come into Reinforced Armored Hide, it will give us damage reduction again. So really, we just do not need damage reduction in our aspects at this point, especially with Perseverance also giving us damage reduction as well. This is why I did not put it on the aspects. We take counterattack with enhanced counterattack just to give us a bit of a extra cooldown on counterattack. That gives us the dodge, so it's just going to make you giga tanky against physical attacks. I came down and I cap out nourishment and anti-venom here because we're using the tormentors aspects and the toxic skin here to apply poison and deal damage with it. So although we're not really doing a poison thorns build, the nourishment here does just scale that poison damage and it gives you healing. So this will just allow you to your tormentors aspect will just wreck everything for you, and we get a bit of extra poison res there, which is kind of nice as well. And to finish off, we take adaptive stances, which gives us 30% damage reduction while we're using our rock splitter because it's a gorilla based skill, and it also gives us 100% core stats now rather than 75. So we're actually getting quite a lot of dexterity while leveling now compared to what we did a few seasons ago where it only gave you 50. So it's really understated. Like, the more dexterity you've got, the better the damage you're going to do, because dexterity is its own multiplicative damage bucket on its own. So this is a very strong option now. So all in all, this will just make you giga tanky, and it will make you very, very strong, and the power will just carry you all the way through. In terms of mercenaries, as always, in all of my builds, I pretty much always take Variana here. Subo is a viable option here if you want the map hack, but honestly, I prefer the movement speed and the attack speed you get here. Attack speed really is the name of the game, and this will allow you to cap it very early on. Movement speed is something that you don't always get very easily on this build. We can in the end game, but at this point, it's at a premium, so the Massacre movement speed bonus here is very nice. I know Subo gives you movement speed as well, but it's only on the elites. This will just give you movement speed in general while you're killing stuff. And then we take Ra here with Bastion as a panic mechanic if it does happen to save you if you become injured. It can be useful in certain situations. Coming down into the runes, Moni and Ton are extremely strong here for leveling. All of these are blue runes and blue powers, so they'll all definitely be achievable relatively early on in the leveling process. If it turns out rare runes and rare powers are easy to drop before level 60, I will update this, but I generally leave them as blue because it makes it easier for people to attain. Obviously with runes you're going to have to get lucky and drop them, guys, so if you don't drop these, just put in anything that's useful to you. But Moni is super strong here. Rock Splitter is a mobility skill. We're attacking super fast. Every 2 attacks, we're going to just generate an absolute bucket load of meteorites that is going to decimate the screen. For the first 30 or 40 levels, this just carries you pretty much. If you get these 2, you need nothing else. You'll just attack speed. You will just kill everything around you. It's really, really strong. It will curve off near the end of your leveling process, but it's very good. Seer and Qua as well, because we can use the Moni rune here, will just give you that movement speed. 50% movement speed, easy peasy. It's going to allow you to run really quickly. That's going to speed up your leveling. Brilliant. Especially where this season, the Chaos perks, the powers do not provide you with movement speed. The last 2 seasons have. So this is actually very understated. Now, Chaos perks, this is interesting. I've only put 2 in here because really of the blue powers, there's only 2 that are actually useful to us. And honestly, until you get to legendary powers, the yellow ones aren't really useful here either because it's not a core skill. But once we get to the legendary powers and the unique perks, those will be useful. But really, this Alacrity power is the bolts and bones of what will make this build just Giga Blast even more than it did before. It will give your skill 30% more attack speed. It will make it dash 50% even further in range. So you're going to be able to zoom across the screen even further. And it's going to make your third attack happen every second attack instead of third. So you're going to be able to do your big hits basically in a third quicker time. So your damage output here is just going to be a lot quicker in general. So Alacrity is absolutely key. I will definitely be looking to rush this as soon as humanly possible, because the second I get that on my build, I'm going to Giga Blast everything. It will get me up to the higher difficulties very quickly. Accelerating Chaos is a bonus. This just gives you a bit of extra cooldown reduction. We do have quite high lucky hit chance on our skill here with Rock Splitter and stuff by base. So this could be useful to us, but really this is just because it's the only other thing that's useful to us. In terms of gems, I haven't put anything in a weapon because I generally put the runes there, but obviously if you don't put them in the weapon, you could put something in like crit damage or anything else useful. We put dexterity in the armor. We cap out our resistances in the jewelry here because we can get a lot of armor in the aspects, unlike resistances. Resistances typically are the thing hard to cap on Spiritborn. So yeah, putting diamonds in here will just make your life a lot easier while leveling. And then beyond that, guys, that's kind of most of the build. So we've got the strengths and weaknesses as we showed before, the gameplay loop, the how it works, and then all the extra information. So be sure to check that out if you are interested. Thanks for checking out the video, guys. Have a great season. I look forward to seeing you out there. Keep safe, much love, and I'll see you in the next video.